Today I'm going to show you how to make a drunkard's path block without using curved piecing. Drunkard's path block is really a neat little block because this unit right here, this square right here, can be used in so many different ways, and when you combine it with a combine them in positive negatives, like this, you have a lot of options in which to use them. So, to start, you're going to need to make a template. So, using a piece of cereal box, you're going to cut a piece of cardboard that is the same size as your background fabric, which in this case is going to be 7 inches. And then you take a ruler and you mark it to find the exact center. And for a circle template, I am using this is a Protect disc. They're blank discs that come in stacks of recordable discs, CDs and stuff. Usually they're tossed away, but I like them to use as templates for all kinds of stuff because they're clear, you can see through them, and they've got this wonderful little hole for grabbing them. And they're free. So, what you do is you mark your cardboard so that you can find dead center. Then you put your template in, and you're going to have to use a ruler and center it perfectly. Trace around it, and then use a straight edge, cut it out, and there's your template. This is officially garbage. This is not for cutting the fabric or marking fabric. This is simply for placing your fabric, and I'll show you how to use that in a minute. The first thing you're going to need is background fabrics. I'm using, for this particular quilt I've been working on, I am using 2 fabrics because I want a simple positive-negative effect. If you want to make this in a scrappy or more than 2 fabrics, make sure you have, if you want to do it positive negative, you need to sort your fabrics out light and dark. If you just want to make one type of block with a dark background and a light circle, then you don't need to cut your background fabric of both. You're also going to need this is 7 inches. You're going to need a 5.5 inch square of the fabric you're going to be using for your circles. And you're also going to cut a 5.5 inch square of fusible interfacing. This is shear weight fusible interfacing. It's actually used for making clothes. It's used in cuffs and collars for stiffening fabric when you make cuffs or collars of clothes. And it has a smooth side and it has a bumpy side. The bumpy side is where the glue is. I've seen some brands that the glue side is a very slick side, whereas the non-glue side is just satiny. You cannot iron this until you want it to stick. You can't press it, so try to keep it, if you buy it at the store, try to keep it from getting too terribly wrinkled because you can't press it out. Is take your fabric face side up and your fusible web, and take your fusible web, and on the non-glue side trace your template. And you can use pencil or pen. I use pen because I like how it works better. If you're going to use a pen, use something that you either know will completely wash out or not bleed at all. So that way you don't get a big mess once you wash this. You're going to put these two together, glue side to the face of the fabric, stitching lines up. You're going to take them to your sewing machine, and you're going to use a rather short stitch length and stitch on the stitching line all the way around. And then you're going to take those and you're going to trim it all the way around, about 1/4 of an inch, like that. And then you're going to take a pair of scissors and snip the edge of this fabric all the way around, about 1/4 of an inch apart, close to the stitching line, not through the stitching line. Then, when it's all snipped, and this one's all snipped all the way around, you're going to take a pair of scissors and you're going to jiggle these apart. Make sure you're just cutting through interfacing here. And you're going to snip it, and you're going to cut a few cuts in here so you can get it. Just a couple. And you're going to take it and flip it. And careful, this stuff will rip. It's not strong stuff. And you do want the lightest weight, though. Too thick and it will add too much bulk to your block. There we go. Got it pressed. Press it with your hand, smooth it out. There's our circle. Then we take scissors and trim this guy again. So you trim your interfacing back to 1/4 of an inch. And this one's been trimmed. 1/4 of an inch, a little bit more if you want. Then, now we get to use our weird little cardboard template. Take our background fabric, lay our cardboard template over it, line it up. Then we're going to take our circle with our glue side down now because they've flipped it, and center it in a circle, and remove the template, and it's centered. Now, you would do this on the ironing board, and my iron is cold, so, because this is meltable, but you would press it. That's all you need to do is press this, flip it over, probably press it again from the back, and then you have this, and it's fused down now. You take it to the machine, and using an applique stitch is on the pieces that have this turquoise in the middle. I've used a turquoise thread and kept the stitches mainly on this catch stitch here, full stitch over. And on the pieces that have this print, I've used a dark charcoal gray and again kept the stitches just a snip there and most of the stitch in the middle. And that way, from a distance, or like in the camera, you really cannot see those stitches. Then, and you can see them here, you take your scissors and again, you pull them apart, pull the two layers apart, and just trim down to 1/4 inch. You're going to have to trim this. If you don't trim the interfacing out, and if you don't trim the second layer of fabric out, when we get to this next step, where we take this and quarter our block with a rotary cutter and a ruler, you're end up with a lot of bulk here in the middle. You can cut it and then trim it away, but I don't know, I like to do it the other way. If you don't do that, when it comes time to start joining blocks together, you're going to have a seam right here with 8 layers of fabric, because by the time you sew all the layers together, it's going to be pretty thick, hard to sew, and it won't lay smooth. So you have to trim out this. But what you do, you take your ruler, set it at 3.5, take your rotary cutter cut here, then 3.5, take your rotary cutter cut here, and then you have 4 blocks. 4 drunkards path units, and when you combine that with the negative block or the positive block, but its opposite block, with the dark in the middle and the light on the outside, you have a lot of possibilities.